Thank you. My title of the sermon is called What Make America Great? It's a big question. I thought sometime we need to leave this country and look back and see what we find. I'm feeling very privileged as one of those outsiders. I'm going to give you a point of view, my point of view. I grew up in Taiwan. The way I learned about America is from entertainment and arts. I saw America is like rich beyond belief, streets paved with gold, so much power, big open spaces, yeah? And I see these tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people on the screen. Smiled. I thought, okay, this must be free spirit. That's what it's supposed to be like. And then I see them, this culture is extroverted, ready to do something different, which is a breath of fresh air comparing to the culture that I was raised in. Much more reserved, introverted, and also older, right? So I thought this is just incredible. And then I listened to Cashbox magazine's Top 40. Some of you are old enough to remember Cashbox Top 40 on the Armed Forces radio. Because in those days, there's no other radio station would play American music. Or we buy these pirated records to listen to these rock and rolls. Right? And I thought, my God, the music is really exciting, sexy, sometimes even feel kind of dangerous. It's a freedom of expression that I dream about and never had. So, and after I've been here many years, I realized that freedom of expression is the key difference between dictatorship and democracy. All right? Many people in this world long for and dream about this kind of freedom. The rest of the world also admire America for its creativity, innovation, technology, economic power, and also our commitment to rule of law. We admire America not for its military power, but its soft power, I call them. Is our ability to share our generosity, willingness to help the underdog around the world. This is how the world sees America as a leader of the free world and a shiny beacon on the hill. It gives us hope. At the foothill of the Statue of Liberty in New York, right? And they etched Emma Lazarus' poem, The New Colossus, onto a flag. I like to read that for you. I'm sure you all know that, right? Not like the brazen giant or Greek flame, with conqueror limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon pan glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient land, your storied pomp, cries she. With silent lip, give me your tired, your poor and huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuge of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, the tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This is significant to everybody who's wanting to come to the United States. For those who are tired and poor and huddled masses on the boat approaching New York Harbor, this symbol lies hope. For all these people are searching for a new life. And they believe if they work hard enough, they too can fulfill the American dreams. As a matter of fact, after European settlers who first invaded and conquered this land, America's economy was built on cheap labor and from the exploitation of African slaves. After the slavery is abolished, people from all over the land come here to fill the labor pool. What makes America great in such a short time is because of this continuous flow of newcomers who are willing to help build this country from the ground up. They have kept the pioneer spirit alive. So when we blame immigrants for all our problems, we are forgetting they're the one who helped build this country. And when we say we want to stop the inflow of undocumented immigrants, I dare all of you to find someone in your family tree that has come to this land without proper document. Just because our immigration system needs to be reformed doesn't mean we should close the door for the newcomers. Because if we don't have enough people to help build this land, as a nation, we'll lose our vitality and we stop growing. At the end, only the very rich will have survived because they hoard all the precious resources. And imagine you're on the street, minding your own business. All of a sudden, a group of masked men in fatigue approach you and demand that you show proof of your citizenship. Now, you may not have the paper, even you are citizenship. You are a citizen. So guess what? They throw you in handcuffs and take you away. They put you in some mega prison, who knows where. Now, if you're lucky enough to have money to hire a lawyer, you may get released in about 2 months. What happens if you don't have money to hire a lawyer, or your immigration status is unsettled? What would you do? How do you feel? I came to this country 54 years ago to go to graduate school. I'm a very old woman, you have to know that. So I was able to apply and receive a legal status called a permanent resident with a green card. It means that I could legally stay in this country. But I learned that I had to be on my best behavior because they could kick me out anytime if I break the law, even just a minor infraction. So I lived like this for the next 5 years before I can apply for citizenship. Now I had to study and pass the test of citizenship. And then I waited 2 more years till finally to become a naturalized citizen. Now at that moment when I got my US passport, I was so happy. I thought, okay, I finally made it. You know, I am just like any other United States citizen with a sense of freedom. But I am very aware this country is not perfect. With all the years I stayed here, I have many times been told to go back to where I came from. I was discriminated on the job. During the pandemic, when Asian hate crime was on the rise, I was followed. I also got sent hate mail. So after all this experience, I still managed to appreciate the freedom I do have. But the events that happened in the last 8 months make me feel scared and short again. On the street, as a person of color, I wouldn't know that I would be more likely be suspected as an undocumented immigrant. And why is that? Because we still have a long way to go in this country to eliminate our racial bias tendency, which is reflected in the law and enforcement. Just 3 months ago, there's a patient in the hospital where I work as a chaplain asked me, was I documented? So once again, what I do is basically remind myself, this is scary. And then this regime not too long ago, all of a sudden threatened to basically yank away naturalized citizenship due to some random policy. It's just a threat, right? But I felt like, okay, once again, I'm reminded I'm nothing but a second-class citizen in this country I call home for most of my adult life. And I thought, okay, I'm be very scared to go to 99 Ranch Market in case I may get grabbed, because that happened, right? Or if I take a trip overseas, I may not get allowed to come back in. So, I mean, this chances getting this is very small, I trust that. But I do not have any confidence in the justice system of this country anymore. So when I see the ICE agent randomly grab mostly people of color on the street or in the immigration court, I felt the call to do something. Yet I'm also very aware of the risk that I could run into just because of what I look like. So it took me a long time to think about, do I want to volunteer to be a court observer? At the end, I said, yes, I will. Because I still have a vivid memory of this little girl crying for her mother in the youth detention center the first time when this president was in charge. So I went, and I wanted to make sure I do my part. Well, the difference between me and these people who were kidnapped is that I have the privilege to find a path to stay. They didn't. The only hope they had is rely on the mercy of the court. So inside the court building, ICE agents are in plain clothes. They have no badges on. They blend in with the asylum seekers. We call them respondents. They come into the court because they have an appointment with the immigration judge to plead their asylum cases. Well, okay, so what I realized that I could be in danger if I get too close to the ICE agents, so I stayed away a little bit, keep a distance, while the rest of the white observer was willing to be free to roam around, even chase the van on the outside, okay? So, but I witnessed the anguish on the faces of the friends and family members who were waiting in the lounge while the respondent was going through their hearing. Inside the courtroom, when the judge decided to dismiss the case, that means this respondent will be grabbed by the ICE agents sitting on the outside. I saw a grandmother crying with a little baby in the stroller while her daughter was grabbed. I used Google Translate, tried to talk to some of these people in the lounge. I told them I'm here to support them. One of these conversations led to this woman hugging me. My heart was broken with sadness and anger when I saw some of these people get thrown into this white van that has no markers on it, right? So I wanted to share this story because remember when we first came in before the service, we played a song called Deportee. It's written by Woody Guthrie. It's inspired by the plane crash in Los Gatos in 1948 when 28 Mexican migrant workers deported on the way back to Mexico, but plane crashed, so they got killed. And the radio station announced that, saying that they're deportees without naming their names. The song could have been written now. Those who are grabbed and shipped to some unknown detention centers have no names. They just disappeared into the darkness. And I understand that life is tough. It's easier to find someone to blame. Could be the undocumented workers or the cheap labor in some foreign country who basically took away American manufacturing jobs. However, globalization and free trade had led to collaboration and increased the standard of living around the world. When people live a better life, They're less interested in getting to a war with each other. I thought this was the fundamental principle of capitalism that America has been championed all over the world. Well, now it feels like we're fighting against this very same system that we thought our country was built on. It's very fascinating to me. And raising the tariff might sound like a punishment to those who import to the US. But it's the American people who pay the ultimate price by losing their standard of living, followed by the world. When life continues to be getting tougher, there will be more potential for violence, including the violence we hear. This week's violence is no different than all the other violence, that violence is increasing. And maybe potential have more war. Why? Because we think this is the time when the only way to survive is either just winning, beat the other one down. This is when dictatorship is on the rise and democracy has become more fragile. Emperor Qing in ancient China was a very famous, very charismatic leader who built the Great Wall that became the seven wonders of the world. But his brutality and ruthlessness were also well known. He used forced labor to build the wall. Thousands and thousands of people died because building this wall. And he also burned books. He decided no one should be as smart as he is, right? And then he executed people because they think they're disloyal. He come up with punishment for those people who disagree with him. Now, in the recent Chinese history, we have Chairman Mao, who did the same thing. He replaced all the scholars, scientists, and anyone who had expertise or have independent thoughts with people who were loyal to him in government positions. He was paranoid to the point where he purged all the senior ranks of revolutionaries who helped him defeat the nationalists in the Civil War and build a communist China. He surrounded himself with a bunch of incompetent yes men. Once he asked everyone to publish their feedback about the government. He called that, "Let 100 flowers bloom." So people thought, hey, this is a good idea. Maybe this is how we're going to express our patriotism. So people comply. Well, guess what? Afterwards, he rounded up all these people who had a dissenting voice and threw them in jail. So people are quickly learned that they should never criticize the government again. To further quash the freedom of speech, he basically took over the media and made it into a propaganda machine. So, during the 10 years Cultural Revolution, he sent out goon squad, we call the Red Guards, to the streets and put his revenge out there for anybody who resisted his regime. Many of my families were tortured. One of my cousins jumped through his third-floor window and killed himself. So, the current leader in China is not any better. His totalitarian method is just more sophisticated. So, do you see the parallel of what's happening to America? My cousin in Shanghai asked me, so what's the difference between your country and my country? Think about that. At this moment in our history, it seems all the progress we tried to make towards a better union have been in retraction. So, abortion rights is overturned, transgender identity were erased, same-sex marriage is being threatened again, book banning is on the rise, the wall between Christian nationalism and the state is crumbling, and we see rapidly becoming a police state, and those people who are sick and poor are going to lose their protection. Leaders are fanning mistrust of science or research data. Intellectuals are being discredited. The Supreme Court just allowed the ICE agent to practice openly racial profiling. We are quickly losing individual liberty and freedom of speech. like many other immigrants, I have put the United States on the pedestal for years. I idealize this country because I believe this country was built based on law, not based on individual whims. But I have to tell you that I'm heartbroken and disappointed because I see that this is turning into nothing but just like another country whose power corrupting. I wonder, is this still America? So this feels very depressing. We can run away, I see people do that, okay? We could hide in denial, or we could fight. I have to tell you, from the depth of my heart, I want to stay and fight, because that's my duty as a citizen. And I want to make sure I do this for the sake of our children and our grandchildren. And when the fragile democratic system is being threatened, we cannot close our eyes and pretend everything's going to be fine. Our silence is being seen as an agreement. During the Nazi war, Reverend Martin Niemöller wrote, "First they came for the socialists. I didn't speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I didn't speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I didn't speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me. Then there was no one left to speak for me." This poem teaches us that we cannot bury our heads in the sand and think that we will be spared when darkness spread. I remember when I said I was going to be a court observer, my friend said, "What's the point of being a witness?" I said, to witness is to hold up a mirror for this other person to look inside to see the reflection of who they really are. If no one was there, the 6 million Jews still got sent to the gas chamber. And to witness is to serve a screen of conscience. We do this not just for others, but for ourselves, to stand up for what we truly are and what we believe in. And as UUs, we don't just talk about problems or analyze the problem, we actually do something. Some days I get overwhelmed by the disillusionment and fear. I feel like I didn't do much to make any difference. Someday it feels like everything is going backwards. Someday this work is like throwing one starfish back to the sea at a time. But I know I'm not alone. And I'm surrounded by people who are committed to fight back. And because of that, I haven't given up on this country. And maybe you don't want to be a court observer, but when democratic system is being assaulted from all fronts, there's plenty opportunities for you to do something. Now, of course, to keep up the fight requires courage. Courage is not some raw adrenaline. It takes calculation based on the risk level that you're willing to tolerate. So I urge you to really think about what risk level you're willing to tolerate and maybe crank it up a little notch, right? At this dangerous time, we need to remember who we are as UUs. Our history is almost twice as long as the United States. We have come from a long line of reformers and social change activists. Our beliefs are rooted in the principle of universal love. We have fought and died for independence, freedom, justice, equality, open-hearted generosity, diversity, pluralism, change, and transformation throughout our history. These are the same principles and values that America has been built on. And this is the source of American pride. So UUs need to claim we are true Americans for fighting for all the fundamental goodness for this country. We know the progress is not a straight line. Giving up seems not to be an option. If love is a universal principle, we must care for one another at this very difficult time. No one should stand alone. And we are not without power. We have been here before as UU, if you study the history. We know how to fight. And this is the time to show our resolve and courage to stand out and reclaim our true selves and be example for others and demonstrate that we are powerful together. To be a proud American means to let every voice rise and be heard. Tonight, before you go to sleep, I want to ask you a question. What you have done to fight against the tyranny tonight? Either by perhaps using your privilege a little more, or sacrifice some convenience a little bit, or at least have you throw one starfish back? Namaste. Amen.